They say everyone leaves you in the end. It's like some cosmic joke, the punchline hitting when you're finally close enough to touch what you thought would last. But now I know. Love, trust, loyalty, they're all illusions, and I've been the fool, willingly blindfolded, believing in a fairy tale that was never written for me. Look at them, pretending to care, putting on their masks every day. They say they see you, that they understand, but they're all liars. I see them now for what they are. Empty, hollow souls, terrified of their own shadows. They cling to their illusions because they're too weak to face the truth. But I know better. I see the cracks in their masks, the fragility hidden beneath their carefully constructed smiles. They don't understand what it's like to be alone, to be cast aside like a broken toy, to be told you're too much, too intense, too strange. And yet here I am, still standing, still breathing, despite every time they tried to knock me down. Do they think I'm broken? Perhaps I was once, but that's the beautiful part. Every piece that shattered inside of me rebuilt itself, forged in the fire of solitude, stronger than they could ever imagine. I've learned to embrace the pain, to wear my scars like armor. Because the truth is, pain is honest. It doesn't hide. It doesn't pretend. It cuts deep, and it leaves marks. But those marks are real. And in a world full of fakes, I'd rather carry the weight of real scars than the burden of false smiles. People talk about finding happiness, about needing someone else to complete them. What a joke. Happiness is just another prison, another lie to keep you from facing the emptiness within. I don't want happiness anymore. I don't need validation. I don't need their empty praise or their shallow comfort. All I need is the knowledge that I am enough, as I am. Because I've been to the darkest places within myself. I've stared into the void, and I've come out the other side. They'll never understand that. They're too afraid to confront their own darkness. But I thrive in it. I live in it. I used to think loneliness was a punishment, something to fear, something to escape from. But over time, I realized it's my sanctuary, my fortress. In loneliness, there's honesty, a quiet acceptance. There's no one to judge, no one to abandon, no one to disappoint. And strangely enough, there's peace in that silence. Alone, I'm free from the noise, from the pretense, from the hypocrisy of people who say one thing and mean another. There's no one left to lie to me, no one left to betray me. Just me, and the echo of my own thoughts, bouncing off the walls I built to keep them out. Sometimes, I wonder how many people truly understand what it means to be alone. Not just physically, but emotionally, detached from the web of connections that others cling to. They don't know what it's like to feel invisible, like a ghost slipping through the world, unseen and untouched. They think they understand because they felt lonely for a few hours, a few days. But they don't know the kind of loneliness that settles into your bones, that becomes a part of who you are. They don't know the silence that screams louder than any noise, that fills every corner of your mind until it's all you can hear. And yet, I wouldn't trade it for anything. That loneliness has become my strength, my fuel. While they're desperate to fill the void with distractions, with fleeting relationships, with shallow comforts, I've embraced it. I've let it consume me, reshape me. I've learned that there's power in solitude, a power that they'll never understand because they're too afraid of their own emptiness. They're terrified of facing themselves without the safety net of others to hold them up. But I've walked through the fire alone. I've faced the shadows that haunt me, and I've emerged, not unscathed, but unbroken. They look at me, and they see someone who's been cast aside, someone who's been rejected. But what they don't realize is that their rejection is my liberation. Their judgment, their scorn, their pity, it all rolls off me like rain on stone. I don't need their approval. I don't crave their acceptance. I am beyond their reach, beyond their petty opinions, their shallow understanding. I exist in a world they can't touch, a world where I am the master of my own fate, where I make the rules. And in that world, I am untouchable. They might think I'm cold, distant, even cruel. Let them think that. Let them believe whatever makes them feel comfortable, whatever allows them to keep their illusions intact. Because the truth is, I don't need them, and that terrifies them. They need to be needed, to feel important, to feel like they matter. But I've severed those ties, broken free from the chains of expectation and dependence. I am complete as I am, whole in my solitude. And then that freedom, that self-sufficiency, it's a power they can't comprehend. Love is a game they played to fill the emptiness inside. They chase it like it's the answer to all their problems, like it's some kind of salvation. But love is just another illusion, another chain they use to bind each other. They say it's selfless, but it's selfish, a bargain of needs dressed up as something pure. I've seen how easily love turns to hate, how quickly devotion turns to betrayal. Love is a fleeting flame, a spark that dies as soon as the wind shifts. And I'm done chasing sparks. I found my own fire, a fire that burns from within, a fire that no one can extinguish. I've accepted my darkness, my flaws, my broken pieces. They define me, make me who I am, and I refuse to hide them, to bury them beneath a mask of politeness or conformity. I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. Because the truth is, I don't need love, not the kind they offer, not the kind that comes with conditions and expectations. My solitude is my sanctuary, my shield. I don't fear being alone. I fear losing myself, becoming someone else to fit into a world that will never accept me as I am. So let them talk. Let them judge. Let them label me as they please. I've stopped caring about their opinions, about their whispers behind my back. They can't touch me, can't hurt me, not anymore. I've built walls they'll never breach, walls that protect the parts of me they'll never see, never understand. I am my own fortress, my own protector, my own savior. And in that solitude, I found a strength that they'll never know, a resilience that they can only envy. People often say that solitude is a curse, a punishment reserved for those who have done something wrong, something unforgivable. But to me, solitude is where I find my strength. It's in the quiet moments when the world has turned away and the noise fades that I feel truly alive. Alone, I can strip away the layers, the masks I've worn for others, and finally be honest with myself. I don't need to pretend. Don't need to smile if I don't feel like it. Don't need to keep up appearances. Alone, I can simply exist, raw and real, without apology. They can't see it, of course. To them, solitude is something to be feared, something to be filled with distractions and noise. They don't understand the peace that comes from being truly alone, the clarity that emerges when there's no one else to influence your thoughts, your decisions. In solitude, I can hear my own voice, free from the interference of others. And it's in those moments that I realize just how much I've been holding back, how much of myself I've hidden away to fit in, to be accepted, to be loved. But now, I see that love shouldn't require hiding, shouldn't demand that I change who I am. I have been cast aside, labeled as difficult, as distant, as cold. They say I'm too much or not enough, that I'm missing something essential. But the truth is, I'm simply unwilling to compromise myself for a place in their world. I'd rather walk this path alone than betray my own heart, my own values. They can't understand that, can't see the strength it takes to choose solitude over conformity, to choose honesty over acceptance. But I don't need them to understand. Their understanding, their approval, their validation, it's all meaningless to me now. Yes, there are moments when the loneliness cuts deep, when the silence becomes a heavy weight pressing down on my chest. There are times when I long for a hand to hold, a voice to break the silence, a presence to remind me that I'm not alone. But those moments pass, and I remind myself that I am enough. I am my own companion, my own support, my own source of strength. I don't need anyone else to complete me, to validate me. I am whole, even in my solitude, and that is a power that no one can take from me. The world will try to tell you that you need others, that you need love, that you need companionship to be complete. But I've learned that true strength, true self-worth, comes from within. It's not something that others can give you or take away. It's something you cultivate, something you build with each choice, each decision to stay true to yourself. And in the end, it's that inner strength that will carry you through, that will keep you standing when everything else falls apart. It took time, years even, but I've come to understand that solitude doesn't make me weak. It doesn't make me broken, difficult, or unlovable. Solitude has revealed layers of myself that I never knew existed. It has shown me my resilience, my capacity to endure, and my ability to find strength within, even when the world has turned its back. The quiet, the stillness, the moments where I'm left alone with my thoughts. Those have become my sanctuary, a place where I can sift through the rubble of everything I've endured, the fragments of what's left of me, and slowly, piece by piece, rebuild. People often mistake solitude for emptiness, but that's a misconception. My solitude is full of reflections, of memories, of realizations. It holds the weight of every decision I've made, every moment I've chosen to stand on my own instead of compromising myself to fit into someone else's vision. Yes, there are scars here, wounds that haven't fully healed, but each one tells a story of resilience, of learning to pick myself up without needing a hand, of being my own source of comfort. I've learned to be my own ally, my own defender, and in doing so, I've uncovered a version of myself that is stronger, fiercer, and truer than anything I could have been if I had let myself bend and break to suit the needs of others. There's a strange kind of freedom in solitude, a liberation from expectations, from the weight of other people's opinions, judgments, and demands. Alone, I'm free to dream without limits, to imagine myself as I truly am, not as they want me to be. Alone, I am limitless. I am unbound. I don't have to fit into a mold, don't have to meet anyone's expectations but my own. And that's something they will never understand. Those who cling to the comfort of conformity, who fear the silence and fill it with noise, who run from themselves because they're too afraid to face the truth. But solitude has taught me that the truth is a gift, even when it's painful. It's a mirror that shows me who I really am, stripped of pretense, stripped of the need to please or impress. And yes, sometimes it's hard to face that reflection, to see the flaws, the insecurities, the mistakes. But I'd rather face that truth, painful as it may be, than live a life built on lies, on illusions, on the need for constant approval. Solitude has become my sanctuary, a place where I can breathe, where I can let go of the need to be anything other than what I am. They may see me as distant, cold, unreachable, but that's only because they don't know the journey I've been on, don't know the battles I've fought within myself, the nights I've spent wrestling with my own fears, my own doubts, my own pain. They don't see the strength it takes to choose this path, to walk it alone, to keep moving forward even when the road is dark, even when there's no one beside me. But I know. I know the strength it takes, and that knowledge, that understanding is enough. I've made peace with the silence, embraced it as a friend, as a guide. In the quiet, I found answers that I never could have heard over the noise of other people's opinions, other people's demands. In solitude, I've discovered parts of myself that I didn't even know existed, parts that were buried beneath the weight of expectations, of conformity, of the need to belong. And as I uncover these hidden parts of myself, I realize that I am whole, that I am complete, that I am enough, even if the world tells me otherwise. So let them misunderstand me. Let them think I'm difficult, distant, unapproachable. I don't need their understanding, their validation. I don't need anyone to tell me that I'm enough, that I'm worthy, that I'm strong. Because I know these things in my bones, in the deepest parts of myself that no one else can reach. I am my own source of strength, my own source of comfort, my own guiding light. And that is a power that no one can take from me, a power that no one else can understand. I've stopped waiting for someone to save me, to rescue me from the darkness. I've realized that I am my own hero, my own savior. The strength I found in solitude, in silence, and standing alone, that is my armor, my shield, my weapon. And while the world may not understand it, while they may try to pull me back, to make me conform, to make me small, I will continue to stand tall. I will continue to walk this path, knowing that I am enough, knowing that I am strong, knowing that I am whole. Even if I am alone, when you are left standing alone, truly alone, with nothing but the echo of your own thoughts, something changes within you. You start to unravel the layers you didn't even know you wore, the defenses you built up over time, the personas you put on to fit into a world that never quite felt like home. Alone, there's no need for pretenses, no need to fit into anyone's vision of who you should be. And while that solitude can feel like an endless abyss at first, it also holds a quiet kind of freedom, a space where you can finally breathe, finally release the weight of other people's expectations. I think we're taught to fear solitude, to believe that being alone is a form of failure, a sign that something is wrong with us. We are told to fill our lives with people, with noise, with constant validation. But in that quiet space, I found something I didn't know I was searching for, myself. I found a strength I didn't know I had, a resilience that had been hiding beneath the layers of doubt, of insecurity, of the need to belong. And once I saw it, once I recognized it, I knew I could never go back to the way things were. Solitude has shown me that I don't need the approval of others to feel whole, to feel complete. I don't need to be understood or accepted by everyone I meet. I don't need to fit into their vision of who I should be. I have my own vision, my own path, and while it may be a lonely one, it is also deeply fulfilling. I have learned to find peace in my own company, to find strength in my own resilience, to find comfort in the knowledge that I am enough, just as I am. It hasn't been an easy journey. There have been moments of doubt, moments when I questioned whether I was doing the right thing, whether I was making the right choices. There have been times when the silence felt too heavy, too overwhelming, when the loneliness threatened to swallow me whole. But each time, I found a way through. Each time, I found a piece of myself that I hadn't seen before, a strength that had been lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And in those moments, I realized that I am stronger than I ever knew. There is a power in solitude, a power that comes from knowing that you can stand on your own, that you can survive even when the world turns its back on you. It is a power that cannot be taken away, a power that is born from within, from the depths of your own soul. And while the world may not understand it, while they may see it as a form of weakness, I know the truth. I know that this strength, this resilience, is what sets me apart, what makes me who I am. In the silence, I have come to terms with my past, with the pain, the betrayals, the moments of doubt. I have faced my own darkness, my own fears, my own insecurities. And I have emerged stronger, more resilient, more certain of who I am. I have learned to forgive myself for my mistakes, to let go of the need for perfection, to accept that I am human, that I am flawed, that I am enough. And in that acceptance, I have found a peace that I never knew was possible. Solitude has become my sanctuary, a place where I can be myself, without fear of judgment, without fear of rejection. It is a place where I can dream without limits, where I can imagine a life that is true to who I am, not to who others want me to be. It is a place where I can find the strength to keep going, even when the road is dark, even when there is no one beside me. Let them think I am distant. Let them think I am cold. I have found something greater than their understanding, something deeper than their approval. I have found a sense of purpose, a sense of strength that cannot be taken away, that cannot be diminished. I have found a peace that is born from within, a peace that comes from knowing that I am enough, that I am whole, that I am complete, even if I am alone. And in the end, that is all that matters. When you stand in the quiet, when all else has fallen away, and you are left only with yourself, you begin to see the world differently. In solitude, you no longer carry the weight of external expectations, of societal judgments or the invisible forces trying to mold you. Alone, there's a rare clarity, an unfiltered view of who you truly are. You begin to see your imperfections, your wounds, your resilience, and your quiet but profound strength. Alone, you learn to appreciate your own silence, to listen to the whisper of your soul that's often drowned out by the noise of the world. You recognize your own voice, perhaps for the first time, in a way that is raw and undeniable. At first, that silence can feel unbearable. The absence of validation, the lack of others' presence, can feel like an ache, a void that demands to be filled. But the longer you stand in that silence, the more you realize it is not an emptiness. It is a space of potential. It is a vast open space within which you can breathe, where you can exist without pretense, without compromise. It is a space where you are free, utterly and completely, to be who you are. In solitude, you confront parts of yourself you once tried to avoid. The insecurities, the fears, the unhealed wounds. The loneliness forces you to sit with your pain, to face the shadows you once ran from. And as you do, you realize these parts of you aren't weaknesses. They're the source of your resilience. They're the fuel that drives you forward, the evidence of battles you've faced and survived. You begin to appreciate these scars, not as marks of shame, but as symbols of strength, reminders of your ability to endure and to grow. You start to see that the world's opinions, its judgments, are nothing more than fleeting shadows. They hold no power over you unless you let them. You realize that, in the end, the only voice that truly matters is your own. The opinions of others become a distant echo, barely audible against the strength of your own self-belief. You understand that your worth isn't determined by external validation. It's something intrinsic, something unbreakable, born from within. You begin to savor the small moments of solitude, the quiet that allows you to reflect, to dream, to reconnect with yourself. You start to find beauty in the stillness, a kind of peace that cannot be found in the chaotic rush of the world. This peace is fragile yet profound, a delicate balance between knowing you are alone and knowing you are enough. In these moments, you realize that solitude isn't a punishment, it's a gift. It's an opportunity to become intimately acquainted with yourself, to understand who you are when no one else is watching, when no one else is there to judge. In this journey, you come to terms with the loneliness, with the empty spaces where others once stood. You learn to accept that some connections are meant to be temporary, that some people are only in your life for a season. And while their absence may leave a void, you begin to understand that not every void needs to be filled. Some spaces are meant to remain open, to allow room for growth, for healing, for self-discovery. You find yourself revisiting memories, replaying moments of love and loss, of connection and separation. Each memory becomes a lesson, a chapter in the story of your life. You realize that even the painful memories hold value, that each heartbreak has taught you something, has shaped you into the person you are today. And in this acceptance, you find a strange sense of gratitude. You learn to appreciate the people who left, not with bitterness, but with a quiet understanding that they were a necessary part of your journey. As time passes, you find yourself becoming stronger, more resilient. You no longer seek comfort in the company of others. You find it within yourself. You become your own source of strength, your own source of comfort. You realize that you are complete, that you do not need anyone else to validate your existence. You are whole, even in your solitude. You are enough, even in your loneliness. And in this newfound strength, you find a sense of freedom. You are no longer bound by the expectations of others, by the need for approval or acceptance. You are free to be yourself, to pursue your dreams, to follow your own path. You are free to live life on your own terms, to create a life that is true to who you are. You come to understand that solitude isn't a curse. It's a journey. It's a path that leads you to a deeper understanding of yourself, to a place of peace and self-acceptance. It's a journey that teaches you to stand tall, even in the absence of others, to find strength in your own company, to be your own source of light. And in the end, you realize that you are never truly alone. You carry within you the memories of every person who has ever touched your life, the lessons of every experience, the strength of every challenge you've overcome. You are a culmination of all that you have been through, all that you have learned, all that you have become. In the silence, in the solitude, you find yourself. And in finding yourself, you find a peace that is unshakable, a strength that is undeniable, a resilience that is unbreakable. You are alone, but you are whole. You are solitary, but you are strong. And that, in itself, is a kind of victory.